You know, the lesser-known fact about the Suez Crisis is that Britain and France did not lose because they were outfought. They lost because the United States sold British pounds so aggressively that sterling nearly collapsed in a single weekend. The misconception is that Suez was about a canal. It was actually about the moment when Britain realized it could no longer start a war without asking Washington for permission first. The overlooked consequence was that the crisis did not end European colonialism. It simply transferred the veto power over colonial wars from London to Washington. And that transfer of authority, quiet, financial, almost invisible, shaped every subsequent intervention from Vietnam to Iraq. What happened in those 6 weeks was not a military defeat. It was a bank run orchestrated by an ally. Let's start with an overlooked decision. On July 26, 1956, Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal Company, which had been owned mostly by British and French shareholders since 1869. Under international law, Nasser was on solid ground. The concession was due to expire in 1968 anyway. He just accelerated the schedule. But Britain's Prime Minister, Anthony Eden, had survived a near-fatal bile duct operation earlier that year and was taking amphetamines as part of his recovery, a fact that biographers later confirmed but which historians rarely connect to his decision-making. The plan was a lie wrapped in a ruse. Israel would attack Egypt. Britain and France would issue an ultimatum to both sides. Egypt would refuse. Then the Royal Air Force would bomb Cairo. The three powers signed the secret protocol on October 24th. They told no one, including their own parliaments, and crucially, they told nothing to President Dwight Eisenhower. Eisenhower learned about the invasion from a news wire on October 29th, the same morning as the American public. He reportedly put down his coffee cup and said, "Anthony must have lost his mind." Now, here is the human limit. Eden assumed that because Britain was America's oldest ally, Eisenhower would complain but ultimately support him. Eisenhower did not complain. He acted. The United States vetoed a British resolution at the United Nations, refused to provide oil to replace the blocked canal, and most devastatingly, began selling sterling reserves. The pound dropped so fast that the Bank of England had to suspend trading twice in a single day. Britain could not afford to buy food, let alone fuel for its own military. The dry observation is that the United States defeated the British Empire not with a single shot, but with a telephone call from the Treasury Department. Eden resigned 3 months later, citing ill health. His doctor privately noted that he had stopped sleeping and was taking so many amphetamines that his hands shook during cabinet meetings. Now let's connect this to later doctrine. Suez taught every subsequent American president a single lesson. Economic pressure can achieve what military force cannot, and, well, without body bags. The Cuban Missile Crisis naval blockade was, in a sense, Suez reversed. The United States preventing an adversary from moving ships rather than bankrupting an ally. Suez also guaranteed that no future British Prime Minister would ever again commit forces without explicit American approval. Margaret Thatcher asked in 1982 before sending the Falklands Task Force. Tony Blair asked in 2003. Both received permission. The overlooked consequence is that the special relationship became real only after Britain stopped pretending it was an equal partner. The cartoon ran on November 7th. Eden reportedly clipped it out of a newspaper and kept it in his desk drawer. The Suez Canal still operates. The British Empire does not. And, the pivot happened not on a battlefield, but on a trading floor. Every time a British Prime Minister visits the White House and stands 2 steps behind the American president for a photo, that distance is measured in sterling pounds sold in November 1956. The lesson for today is simple. Empires do not fall to armies. They fall when their banker decides to stop lending them the money to pretend. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper. Not a shot fired, not a treaty signed, just a transaction. The sun set on the British Empire in New York, not in Suez.